Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin soul channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the new moon in Cancer for twin souls. It occurs on July 9th, 2021 at 9:16 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. So, this new moon is happening here at the very emotional 18th degree of Cancer. There's a lot of emotional revelation and emotional truth that's going to be revealing itself during this new moon period, but it's as a result of a lot of our fears coming to confront us. It's a lot of our shadow coming to reveal itself to us. I go into a lot of detail about what this means and how this plays out in the Lightworker energy update for this lunation. I won't be revisiting that here, but I recommend that you have a look at that so that you understand the fuller context of what you'll be dealing with, both in the people around you and in yourself, and what may also be coming up for your counterpart at this time. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and get into some of the energies that's going on with the divine feminine energy at this lunation. This is a really moody lunation, which I mentioned already, but I won't, like I said, the details I've laid out in the Lightworker energy update. For brevity's sake, I'm going to skip that here, but the moodiness is particularly highlighted in the divine feminine energetic fields. And so if you're identifying in the polarity of divine feminine energy, then you're going to experience this probably even more so and more heavily. But if you've already recognized that you're stepping into union with self energy, a lot of the divine feminine energy will be counterbalanced by some of the divine masculine energy inside of your own field. So just keep that in mind, that the more in the polarity you are, the more intense one particular energy will be. I talked about this inside of the Juno retrograde video for this time period, where I said Pluto is going to be playing a really significant role for divine feminine energies at each lunation. Because of that role, we can expect, especially because now we're out of range with Neptune, which was a big piece of the divine feminine's journey this year. A lot of confusion, a lot of ambiguity, a lot of uncertainty in the divine feminine energy field. What we have now that she's done with Neptune, now she's talking to Chiron. Um, and this conversation with Chiron is frustrating in other ways because what Chiron is doing is surfacing all of her own wounding that's playing a significant role, is what I can say, in the circumstances she has going on with her divine counterpart. This Chironic energy is, I gotta say, it's a real douse of cold water. It's, for some, it can really be rude awakening energy. But it's positive in this way because Chiron is harmoniously aspecting her in Sagittarius at this time. For many who are identifying in the polaric divine feminine, what you get is eyes wide open about your own participation and your own pain. And it's not even like you meant to participate in your pain in this way. It's just an eyes wide open recognition. Wow, I have this wound, and this wound. And because of these particular wounds that I've had from my own background or from my own experience in my connection or in partnership leading up to meeting my counterpart, I am really getting in the way of my own union here, or I am really getting in the way of harmony and peace unfolding in my connection with my divine counterpart. These kinds of truths, especially because of the way Pluto is impacting this new moon, again, I encourage you to watch the Lightworker Energy Update video. This kind of information, I gotta say, it's really confronting. um, this, I've noticed that my readings at this time with clients, I'm having to share information that's really confronting for them to hear. I'm noticing that I'm, in my own divine feminine energy, very confronted in the way that I, my own wounds and my own triggers are really getting in the way of my capacity to be as close as I'd like to be in my own situation with my counterpart. And I'm also really recognizing in the collective energy field how sensitive people are at this time. So if you're recognizing for yourself, like, wow, yeah, my stuff is up and I am at my wits' end with some of the pain that I'm experiencing inside of my connection. This is a really great job to do some excavational work on your own wounds and your own triggers so that you can get past this. This is a necessary step in our journey toward the union window that opens at the tail end of this year. The union window that opens as we walk into 2022 is really significant because we won't have had a union window like the one that's coming. The last time we would have had one like this would have been 2014, 2015, when Jupiter and Juno come into conjunction. That happens at the start of 2023, but you're going to feel it as early as the start of 2022. So many of my clients ask me the question, how can I avoid repeating a cycle? How can I avoid repeating a pattern of loss or pain or separation or in and out with my counterpart? One of the things that's going on at this time is real revelation about how you can do that. But it's based on how willing you are to face and look at your own pain and honor it um, in integrity rather than project it or blame it, which is one of the things that can really go on with Pluto opposite the new moon. Again, I go in detail elsewhere. You know where to find it. If you're really feeling like, wow, I am resonating with this, please take a moment to watch that video and then come back to this one because this video will make more sense inside the fuller context of the fuller celestial energy rather than just these little parts. Because of this energy of Chiron having such significant influence on the divine feminine at this time, there is, and this sextile to Saturn. One of the things that we have opportunity for is to do a full reset, like a hard reboot. I don't know if you've ever had that experience with your computer where you kind of need to restore it to factory settings where something has happened, the system has crashed, you're unable to access your laptop or your computer and all of its data and all of your saved information, and the only way to get your computer to start again or to work again is to restore it to its original settings when it came out of the box. Now, that does mean that you lose certain data, that you lose certain pieces of information. However, what you gain is the ability to use your machine again. And this is some of what we're being asked to do, not necessarily to get restored to factory settings and lose data, but actually to dig beyond what the connection presented to us and go back to the roots of what happened prior to the connection's unfoldment so that we can understand what we brought into the connection in the first place. Or if this is a revisit, let's say you and counterpart have been in each other's lives for, 5, 7, 10 years or more, this is going to be an energetic revisit. What you've brought to the table over the cycles so that you have the opportunity when you go back, you trace it back to the original energy. You can see, oh, I see how we got into the cycles we have. I see my part. It only takes one of you to shift for the entire connection to shift. And right now, the shift that's occurring on the divine feminine end of the energy is examining old wounds, being honest about them, honoring them with integrity, and really looking at this energy um, in a way that is, I mean, it's really, I gotta say it, it's like facing the brutal truth about ourselves at this time. And then really paying attention to, okay, this is what I need to do to clean up my side of the street so that I'm not repeating patterns, so that I'm not repeating cycles. Saturn in conversation with her is demanding integrity. Chiron in conversation with her is revealing the wounds that have compromised her integrity. So now's the time to dig into deeper work around clarifying what the issue is that you brought to the table so that you cannot repeat a cycle as we open up the next union window, because the next one's a big one. Now, there are going to be many of you with this energy who are also not in separation at all, but who are actually settling into unions or recommitting at this time. Because of this conversation on the divine feminine side of the energy, Chiron speaking to her, their triggers are going to be up for both people. Both people have feminine energy. Chiron's going to be pressing those buttons for both people and asking both people to look at when you have been vulnerable, when you have been nurturing or creative or receptive, or you have been exercising your shape shifting or your flexibility. Where have you felt wounded in the sharing of your feminine energy and your connection? And because of that, this is going to be a really key time to examine ways in which you may need to step into new boundaries or new behavioral patterns with your counterpart so that you guys can have a different relationship dynamic than ones that you've had in the past. This is a really significant time for asking for what your needs are, understanding what the needs are, and actually getting to the bottom of, is this a need, like a true need, or is this actually, me being reactive to my own wounding and trying to get my counterpart to soothe my wounding instead of me taking care of my wounding. Sometimes we can have that, right? Where we feel very sensitive in a certain place. And so we turn to our counterpart to kind of tiptoe around that as if it's a need. But if we had just done the work to heal the wounding, it's not a need for them to be less self expressive or less themselves at all. So, this is one of those periods of time where, if you've got triggers and wounds that need to get dealt with, they're going to be more than a little bit in your face, and both sides of the connection. And it'll be really important at this time to give each other a lot of space if you're in union or settling into union. Get really curious about what the triggers are, what's going on, to dial down our own reactivity and to dial up more of our compassion and curiosity, both for ourselves and with counterpart. Okay, let's just see, what were the other messages about this? Because the pitfall here, a message came through, was that we can be choosing our triggers over our faith, um, or or choosing our pain over possibilities, or recommitting to pain stories and pain cycles instead of being really present with conversations with how we can overcome it. It's like, nope, rather than doing any work, getting any coaching, doing any deeper work on myself, I'm just going to settle into this pain cycle and play this out and wallow in it. And the opportunity is here to not do that and instead get wise about our pain and let it show us the way to wisdom. Okay. And the final thing here is with Saturn in conversation with her as she sits with the South Node. For many, this will be a period of time where a bit of soul retrieval will occur, a little bit of an opportunity to reclaim things that have been lost through trauma and over time. But again, you may find, especially because she sits in the sign of the teacher, you may find that you need a teacher or a guide to help you with those aspects of soul retrieval, help you with, hold a container for you while you rebuild yourself and bring yourself back online. I noticed in today's readings, I did a lot of referring. Again, I always refer to her. I'm a walking commercial for her, but her work is bar none some of the best you can get for this kind of work as Thais Gibson. But I referred specifically to her Hero's Journey course, the post traumatic growth course. So if you have trauma in your background, or if your particular separation and stuff that's happened inside of your twin soul connection created a sense of trauma within you, her post traumatic growth course is a great place to go to start to heal some of that, so that energetically and from a mental place, you're just in a different place when this union window opens, and you're not trying to get them in the future to pay for the past, because you've done the work you needed to do to heal it, and you can enter into a new cycle. I'll link that post traumatic growth course below. Let me just make a note. Post traumatic growth course. That would be really useful for a lot of people. One of the other things I can see going on here, because of the connection that she is making with soulmate energies here over in this similar fire sign, Leo, she's got some connections here. There is a little bit of some divine feminine energies who are looking, again, if this is if you're in separation and identifying in the polarity of feminine energy as opposed to more of a balanced masculine and feminine. If you're identifying in the polarity of feminine energy, one of the things you may find at this time, especially because of the placement of Chiron and Neptune, the Neptune conversation that has been going on for the divine feminine all year. We've got a little bit of a break as we deal with Chiron, but when we go right back into dealing with Neptune square energy in another month or two, one of the things that you may find at this time, especially as Saturn is sitting here aspecting her, there will be some who identify in the polarity who are going to go, nope, I'm too triggered by dealing with my twin. I'm just going to sit over here and stay with my soulmate. I'm blocking out my twin. I want an existence that has nothing to do with them. And that's a choice, a free will choice that you get to make. I'm as one of the things I'm really doing my best is trying to help you access tools so that if you are overtly and very deeply triggered by your twin soul connection, you get access to tools on this channel that help you manage the intensity of the connection with greater understanding about yourself and the other person. But I can lead you to the water, but I cannot force you to drink. So you do what you will with the tools. I leave them out there for you because I don't want you to have to stay in pain or to feel like, nope, twin soul stuff is just too hard. So I'm just going to go over here and deal with something easier, but live in a state of unrequited love with someone I can barely have sex with for the rest of my life. That's not a state of living. That's actually a state of separation for you, where you are separating yourself from yourself internally. And that's manifesting as separation on the outside. But the closer we can come into union with self on the inside, the easier it is to facilitate union on the outside as well. So, as within, so without, that kind of thing. So just be aware of that you may have a counterpart who is so deeply triggered by the intensity of the connection that they may have looked at it and gone, way too much, can't do it. I'm staying with a soulmate. And that's their free will choice at this time. The best thing you can do if that's the case is just send healing and love and compassion to them, and stay in a state of, prayer and energetic healing around the connection, that they will be given the tools that they need to be able to integrate the enormity of the connection in due time. Okay, let's have a conversation about. Okay, those are all the things for divine feminine that I have at this time. Again, um, If you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you've heard something that resonates for you. I'm here every new and full moon with these kinds of updates to help you find your way and navigate the energies that are impacting the collective. But the other thing that you can do is if you're recognizing some of these patterns and they're really frustrating for you or overwhelming for you, now is a really great time to get a reading. As I said, this union window is going to open once we hit the tail end of the year, the start of next year. And it's going to serve you to know what your work is between now and then so that you're not in a place of being caught off guard by a suddenly ready counterpart. And you're like, wow, I've done none of my work. And now I feel ashamed, embarrassed, can't be close, uninterested, because I've seen that happen too. All right, let's get into what's going on the divine masculine polarity of the connections side. And I'm also going to take a quick pause here to show a YouTube commercial. We'll see if YouTube shows it. If you're able to watch it all the way through, that's always very helpful. Watching those videos enables me to continue to create content like this for you guys. So hit that like button, and I'll see you right after this commercial. All right, welcome back. So here we have Jupiter here. So let me just make a cleaner circle. Jupiter here at the first degree of Pisces. He's already turned retrograde out of Pisces and is backing up into Aquarius. For those of you who found the Piscean energy a bit too dreamy, a bit too sleepy, a bit too like halfway in this world, halfway in the other, you'll find that Jupiter backing up into Aquarius is going to feel a lot better to you. It's a bit more of an active sign. It's a lot more intellectual as opposed to moody with the water sign energy of Pisces. And so we're going to start to feel as we get Jupiter back up into Aquarius a bit more like, ooh, a bit of some of the relief. Because as Jupiter hit Pisces, there was a lot of fatigue in the collective. There was also a lot of kind of like disparate channeled energy. Like there was a lot of like amplification of intuitive thoughts, amplification of like you may have picked up a lot of stuff about your counterpart through the dream state. You may have picked up a lot of stuff about your counterpart psychically. So some of that will start to subside just a hair. Aquarius does rule the internet, and psychic intuitions and telepathic communication are basically like the spiritual internet. So you may find a little bit of this subsides just a tad so that you can get your bearings. But then we're going to go right back into Pisces as we get into December. But what you need to know for now is that this lunation, Jupiter is speaking in harmony to Mercury. We've got a trine to Mercury, which is bringing a lot of optimism, an expanded vision into the divine masculine fields at this time. We also have a square to Lilith, which is helping divine masculine energies really put their foot down in places where you may have really bent over backwards for other people. This is an energy that is going to help you start to look out for yourself a bit more, which is really good. Um, and then we also have a trine to the creation goddess here, which I like to see as well, because what this provides is this whole energy altogether provides a real creative new beginning for divine masculine energies and provides a lot of insight and intellectual capacity and visionary capacity to calibrate yourself into a new future, to calibrate yourself into the path that you know you want to be on going forward. Even if you can't actualize that path just yet, you will be able to as we get into Libra season, the tail end of Libra season, where Mars makes harmonious aspect to divine masculine energy again. That's going to be a period of time where some of the bigger picture ideas and lofty ideals that you're experiencing at this time will start to find their way to getting activated, or you're able to act on them in the physical realm. Libra season, I would say, is um, October. So middle of October and late September. That's when we have Libra season. So just keep that in mind, that the ideas may flow in now, the clarity may flow in now, but the capacity to enact it comes as we close up summer inside of the northern hemisphere and round off. I don't know. I guess it's fall. I don't know what season it is in the southern hemisphere. Is it winter? uh, don't quote me. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you know what's going on in September and October for you. Interestingly enough, we also have a bit of a sextile here to Pholus. Pholus has played a starring role in some of the last lunations. So hopefully you've been tracking with the Lightworker energy update videos, because those videos really they talk a lot about who Pholus is, especially I think it was the Capricorn full moon. We did some insight and downloads on that. But this energy of Pholus here isn't really helping the mix completely yet. One of the things that Pholus is doing is via the mirror effect and the twin soul connection, really revealing to the divine masculine where you may have been and felt party to other people's pain, where it's kind of like their issues, their wounding, their challenges, their triggers. You may have been allowing them to act those things out on and project those things into your field. And you may have even allowed people to make you feel responsible for their emotional challenges and their limited bandwidth. And you may have tried to pretzel yourself or hero yourself into fixing their problems. This fullest energy, under the light of this new moon in Cancer, is going to really help you see how non workable that is for you. Going forward, you may really start to get a whiff um, at this time that, wow, okay, yeah, I have really tried to save you from yourself, and that is no longer a workable way for me to live. And so you may find yourself dialing back or backing out of connections where people just aren't being accountable for themselves, and they're wanting you to do things for them that they're not even willing to do for themselves. They want you to heal them. They want you to save them from their wounding. They want you to make up for, the ways, their daddy hurt them. They have daddy issues. Who doesn't on planet Earth, right? And so they want you to come in and be the healer, the daddy, the boyfriend, and the brother that they never had, all rolled up into one. Um, you're going to start to see with Lilith squaring Jupiter and with Pholus sextiling Jupiter, and with this particular new moon, Cancer opposite Pluto, how suffocating that really is and how untenable continuing in that direction really is. And this is a necessary step. Again, this union window begins to open up as we move into the tail end of the year, beginning of next year. And those kind of like, I don't want to say parasitic type of relationships, but where people are kind of feeding off of your energy, but giving you very little back. You're going to start to feel an urgency around closing those up in your world. So just bear that in mind if you stand in the divine masculine polarity of energy. But if you stand in a more neutral energy, what you're going to find is that this is an opportunity in your own masculine energy to step up and do greater protection work for your own feminine energy in your world as you're coming into a union with self that's going to facilitate a platform on which union with another can be built. And that's if you happen to be in separation. If you happen to be in some form of union at this time in the material world, this is a period of time where you may find that there's a little bit of strife inside of your connection because you may feel really drawn to do certain things in your world and in your life, whereas your counterpart is like, but no, I thought we were doing this, and then has a lot of their triggers and wounding show up simply because you're not opted into the old plan. There's a new plan and a new vision emerging for you. As long as you two are having really healthy communication about the fact that there's something new emerging in your field, and there's some ways in which you're feeling really drawn to tuck into yourself so that you can see, okay, what is this in me that's shifting? What is this in me that's changing? What is this picture that I want from my world? you know, in the wake of what 2020 was, now I have a new vision for my life. You may be called to spend a little bit more time with yourself as you really map this out for yourself. And this withdrawal from you may really start to poke on some of your counterparts' fears at this time. Like I said, as long as you can do some healthy reassurance around, like, look, I'm not going anywhere, but I need me right now. So I'm going to give me some time, quality time, and attention to just give myself the space to see what comes up. As long as you can be in some healthy communication around that, you're going to find that things move a lot smoother. But also, you may also find that at this time, as Jupiter backs up and gets closer to Saturn, once again, like it was at the beginning of the year, if there have been loose boundaries that have allowed people to come into your world, take what they want, leave you with nothing, and you're just supposed to take it because you're a masculine energy. You may find that as we get Jupiter back inside the sign of Aquarius, you may also find that with Lilith speaking to Jupiter, that's just a non-starter going forward. It's a no mas anymore, where you are being a giver and other people are being a taker. You're going to find that that no longer flies in your world anymore. And so there will be some instances where you're going to feel like I have to set some new boundaries for myself. Like I said, hopefully, especially with Mercury speaking in harmony to divine masculine energy, hopefully you're able to communicate some of that at this time. You may need to communicate it in parts, since Mercury is talking to Neptune as well. Like, all of it may not come out clearly at this time. You may need to share a little bit now, circle back, share a little bit more later about what's not working for you and what you need instead. But if you give your partner the opportunity to meet you, give them a chance to see, like, if you can reveal in your transparency with this new moon in Cancer what's not working for you and why it's not working, if you can reveal that and be open and honest, you might be surprised at how your partner can rise in this moment as a direct result of you just sharing openly and honestly. So give them that chance. All right. So if you'd like to have a look at this inside of your connection, this is a great opportunity to book a reading with me. I'm over at kmoonastro.com. Like I said, there's significant energetic shifts happening as we walk into 2022 for divine counterparts. We do have the opening of a very large union window. If you'd like to know what your work is and how to prepare for that, this is the right time to get a reading so that you can spend the final 6 months of this year really doing that excavational work and preparing yourself so that there's no repeating of cycles. It is either something's going down with union with self or union with counterpart, or it is something better as we get into the next union window, which is a really big one. So Find me over at K Moon Astro. And if you've heard something that resonates for you, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. And I will see you in the next video. Take great care and bye for now.